I'm Cream Ray, your host at the One Soccer Nation podcast. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing my former coach, Bassam, A-Naim. Coach Bassam is the Academy Director at ANB Futbol. Coach Bassam has a sound national and international background in coaching and business. He's also someone that I really respect and love. He's, really changed my life and trajectory from 2016 to 2019. And he's impacted thousands of individuals around the world. Coach Bassam, thanks for taking the time today to be on the podcast. How's it going?
Thank you for hosting me, Kareem. It's good to see you. And as always, it's going great. I was just came back from the sunshine of Colombia yesterday to the snow of Toronto. So here we are.
Yeah, it's super cold. It's not as hot and nice as Colombia, but you've been traveling a lot. So how's the traveling going? And
I truly believe traveling has been essential to open up doors for potential Canadian talents. Unfortunately, as you know, our country, as great as it is as a nation, when it comes to the sports of football or soccer, we're still behind. So we do our best to travel internationally and seek opportunities and open doors for Canadian talents, because we certainly have good talents in this country, but we need, a system that will take it further or maximize it. And unfortunately, for now, we're not in this position yet as a nation.
how many years do you see that away from happening?
I wish I have the right answer for that one. When I started 25 years ago on a full-time basis in the game, I thought in 10, 15, maybe 20 years, we will be that football nation that we're all craving. I still don't see it. I would say there was some very minimal improvement in my mind, but we have a long way to go as a country to get to that next stage in terms of becoming a true football nation, and then or a true soccer nation, and compete consistently on the international stage.
You mentioned 25 plus years you've been in the business of soccer, and you've been in Canada for a while now. So you've got to see the game grow within Canada. How far are we away from being where the U.S. is in terms of professionalism, growing a professional league like the CPL, and just adding to that pyramid?
Well, you have to look at the picture overall. I can tell you from a grassroots point of view, everything start with the grassroots. That's where the game actually is, the base of it. So from a grassroots to the amateur system to the club community system, I think all countries in the world, most probably they struggle with the same issues. They all have difficulties. Some countries have a lot more of a natural environment. We here in Canada, we have a very organized amateur environment, organized to sometimes way too organized, to suffocation in a way sometimes. But then when it comes to high performance, you need, or player development, if you want to call it, / high performance, you need to have a proper national system in place for young players. You need to have a professional structure starting from the top down. You need to have quite a bit of governmental support, finance in the game, major facilities in terms of stadium and training facilities, major investment from private entrepreneurs in Canada related or all around the game itself. And I think we have not seen hardly any improvement in that sense in the last 25 years. So I'm not sure how long it's going to take for us to potentially get there. I don't have the magic answer. Our American neighbors or cousins have really took their game much further than us in the last 10, 15 years. I believe that the MLS has done a great job in terms of pushing professionalism further in the American game, because I think they struggle from the same issues that we do struggle here from community club system or an amateur system. But then the key always is professionalizing the game properly with the national system and then driving it forward in terms of sponsorship, facilities, building a culture, and starting to produce or show some talent that going through their developmental system and then placing them in different places in the world, TV exposure, marketing. It's the list is practically endless. We're not there yet. I think we have the CPL that is in its infancy stages, which is extremely needed for the Canadian soccer culture or the Canadian soccer landscape. But it's just only a few years, 2-3 years old, like a little baby that's trying to, I guess, find its own way in life. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but we definitely and we hope that will progress positively forward.
I'm seeing a lot of teams being, a lot of professional teams being popped out left, right, and center down in the U.S. A lot of lands being bought, a lot of new stadiums are being, built. Why is that happening? Because of this 2026 World Cup. Do you see the 2026 World Cup having the same impact in Canada? I'm not seeing as much going on or hearing as much publicly, but from what you know, I know you're really connected behind the scenes. Is there that same momentum happening in Canada preparing for the World Cup, which is in the next 2 years?
Well, I think it's great that we're going to be co-hosting, I guess, the World Cup with Mexico and the United States. So far, we have not heard, nor most probably we will hear about any a new development in terms of stadium or facilities for the 2026 World Cup coming up. I think in all honesty, it's a great disappointment. I thought that will be an opportunity for our Canadian government. So I'm pointing out here our government that should be involved and should be financing or putting finances forward to build facilities around the country. And as well, I'm kind of calling on the private investors as well to put their money where they're supposed to put it if they love the game of soccer, which we haven't seen. I'm not sure why exactly that such a great country as Canada, we don't have people coming forward and building facility. We hear about all the improvement and the development and new ideas that's going on in the United States, but then I don't hear about really any idea that's taking place here in Canada for the 2026 World Cup, which I would say again, I will repeat, it's an extreme disappointment, starting by the Canadian government to Canada Soccer to the rest of the political soccer landscape.
How do you get involved in the political side at all?
I would say I'm well diverse in terms of relationship and communication, but I do not work officially on any political level. So I'm more so someone who's interested very much in the improvement of the Canadian game because the game it's really the essence of everything. Without the game, there's no need for player. Without the game, there's no need for stadium, no need for investment, no need for coaches. So I'm very much big on this side that the Canadian game has to get better, and it hasn't. In all honesty, there are some very few steps, very few things happened here and there, but in a humongous country as Canada, because Canada's size is very, very big, as we know. So we need a lot more investment and a lot more involvement from the Canadian government and sports sides, specifically soccer, in terms of investing into facilities, investing into professionalism, investing into a national system from Canadian for Canadian. What's that mean? What's the definition of it? all that is totally lacking in my mind.
Do you know, is there really any main reason why they haven't yet? They haven't really gone all in for soccer in Canada?
Well, I'm just giving you my personal opinion. I don't know exactly if that's the right answer or not. My personal opinion, I came to this country 40 years ago, so I'm an immigrant um, by origin, and I thought, what a great country to start with. Canada has always been a beautiful, wonderful country to live in and study and bring up your kids and family and the rest of it. But at the same time, I never thought that we are a sports nation like we say we are. We most probably talk a little bit more about it than what we do. So, I prefer that we do rather than we talk. So I would believe that it has to start by the government to have, I'm not sure if we do have a proper sports ministry, actually. I don't believe we do, for sports in general. Then do we have specifics for the different sports that we have? Is it soccer? Is it supposed to be a national sports? We call it the participation sports. Is it participation? Do we need only participation? Or do we need now a lot more than participation? Professionalism, advancement in sports. A lot of people say Canada is a hockey country. So is it really a hockey country? Parents are still paying left and right and center for their kids to be in hockey. So I'm not sure if that's how we define that as a hockey nation. Yeah, we do well because we started the game. I guess we invented the game and we have a professional league that we're part of. Usually you end up producing players and you have a decent system. Does that make you a true sports nation? I don't believe so, but I could be wrong. But I personally don't believe so. So I think soccer is kind of way lacking behind all that, even though we have we have more numbers and player-wise participating, or mainly youth players participating in the game on the male and the female side more in soccer than in other sports. We don't see that there's any initiative from our federal government nor provincial government to excel in sports in general and soccer in specific.
Yeah, understood. I think, in regards to the soccer side of things, the simplicity that the game brings, all you need is a pitch, a ball, and some cleats, and you could play. So that accessibility to parents and the price not being too high for parents to enter in is why the numbers are so high. They play a part into that, right? You've coached around the world, and I remember as a player at A&B Academy, you love France, the France system, the France mentality. Is France still the number one country that you look towards for inspiration, as well as implementing things at A&B? Is France still that country that you look at and communicate with, or is it another country that you really like?
Well, I've been actually blessed to travel around the globe. I've been in over 50 countries. I've done a lot of studies and work and research about different systems, different federation, different philosophies. The French formation system is still the number one presently in the world in terms of systematically producing or developing young players into the professional side. We see the quality of French players all over the world, or mainly in the big leagues, the major big leagues around the planet. So yes, it is my, other than I do have a family heritage as well in France. I do have a connection to the country in that side, and I do have a strong connection to the country, to France, in terms of understanding what they do to take players from A to B to C to D to put them into the professional side. We actually at ANB Futbol we copied quite a bit of the French formation system, and we put what you call a maple syrup on top of it to Canadianize it. Obviously, we We don't live in France. We can't apply exactly the same methodologies or the same ideas. So by Canadianize it, it worked for us. We've been blessed and as well lucky, because having a system alone is not enough. You have to have as well a little bit of luck, specifically in football. You watch sometimes a game and it's going, all of it going your way, and the other team beat you. So with the lucky strike. So luck is a huge factor in life, I believe. So with taking the essence of the French formation system, taking what we believe that works in our Canadian culture, putting a little bit of maple syrup on top of it, we are able to guide several players on the male and the female side into the higher levels of the game, whether they play for a national team abroad or for the Canadian national team, obviously, which is our first priority always. But some players choose not to, unfortunately, to play for Canada. And then some of them, we guide them into the professional side in Europe. So we've been certainly blessed that way.
Nice. Coach Bassam, you got to add some Tim Hortons, coffee, hot chocolate, and donuts on the side too. Not just the maple syrup.
You got it. You got it. Maybe I'll add the donut for that one.
You mentioned top talent. You've created a lot of talent. We're talking about A-Naim Reed, Daniel Jefferson, just to name a few, but there's definitely more. Those are the two that I remember. What do you think? What is it that you're doing that's creating this talent in Canada, and then you're taking over to the U.S. or that are going overseas and absolutely destroying it and are winners?
The key for all that was actually applying the proven methodology that's working outside of Canada. So this is where, when it comes to sports, you need to look at what's actually working and then what you can use in your country. If you're a football nation, obviously you will need to look at outside and try to see what's working outside of your own environment. And knowing that Canada is not a football nation, that's the reality. We copied certain elements specifically from the French system, and we have really applied it functionally for years now, allowing the freedom, working on the base of technique at the younger ages, and so on. So those are extremely important steps that we've done, and specifically in focusing on the individual and focusing on a age-related proper training, not being obsessed with winning mentality, because we tend to be way too obsessed in our North American culture about win, rather than train, and improve. We can never, winning is actually a result of, and I don't believe winning is usually applicable for youth system. Winning should be for the professional system, because that's why these young people or athletes on the professional level are being paid for that to produce result. Young players, no different than student, for an example, in school, they go to educate themselves to earn their whether it's a high school degree or high school certificate, and then go to university to earn a job. Youth players, they need to educate themselves in the game, on the basic of the game, being allowed to be as well able to be free and express their talent on the pitch. And eventually that could lead to better improvement and potential avenues in the game. I think we have applied that quite a bit. It took us a little bit of time. We've been around now for 18 years. So our first 6-7 years, I would say it maybe our first generation of players, we were applying all these methodology to see if it works in our culture. And with hard work and a little bit of luck, like I always say, that luck is important. We combine the two together, and so far we look at ourselves as more so guide. We focus on the individual improvement of the athlete, not the team aspect, whereby it's all about team and win games and let's be happy and win trophy. We focus very much on the individual improvement of each player, which will give an improvement of the group, the small group, the larger group, and potentially good positive results. And it's been working, and it's working fine. So I believe that it works in Canada. I just don't believe that Canada is ready, or Canada soccer culture is ready for improvement, rather than win, compete, and just win, and everybody's happy because we win the game. But the question is, can we pass properly? Can we know the proper element of technique? Are we good? Do we repeat them? Do we work on improvement? Are we creative? Do we know how to pass? What is possession? What is true proper development? What is really elite athlete? What is high performance? Actually, we use a lot of those words, I find, in our culture, but I don't think we know exactly what it takes to do them. There's obviously, we're not the only one that is doing a decent job. I believe there's others, but in a country like Canada, that's humongous in terms of space and not only space. We have the beauty of this country. We have all this ethnicity, which is so beautiful, and the cultural mix that could create more athleticism. Why are we not way ahead what we are? That's a big question. I have my views on that, but then, I might sound too critical, but I truly believe in the Canadian talent. I believe that we as a nation, we have a huge potential, but as a nation, we're not seeking it yet. There's very few people are doing that, seeking the potential and guiding players. Not only ANB Futbol, I have other colleagues in the game that doing decent job or decent work. But I believe that we have truly a huge potential in Canada. I think we need to be more realistic about our issues and challenges first, and put them up front and deal with them, try to fix them, and functionally move them forward into opportunity and future goals. And I don't believe that we do that.
Understood. I mentioned Daniel Jefferson. In regards to this question, you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, if you can't. Throughout my learnings, players that reach, so Daniel Jefferson, he's played in the English Premier League, right? With Sheffield United.
He is presently still in the English. Yeah, he's still with Sheffield United. Yes.
So there's something called like a finder's fee, or I'm not too sure exactly what it's called, for academies that develop players, and then if that player eventually signs a big contract, that academy that developed that player gets a finder's fee. Was that the case with Daniel Jefferson, or if you're able to speak on it, or if you want to?
I'm not sure. I don't think the terminology is a finder's fee. What you have a set. I can't really go into the details of Daniel's, but I will give you the overall picture from a FIFA point of view. The internet FIFA, which govern the football in the world. There's a set type of advantages that you can get out of a player being, and I'm not sure if I can call it truly developed, because development is a process. Daniel was with ANB Futbol for close to 10 years, 9 years and a change. He moved to England with his family at the age of 14, 15. So there was, and then he ended up, obviously he had a few trials here and there, but he ended up with Sheffield, and I think Sheffield has done a very good job in terms of taking his natural talent and maximizing it into the English side, and specifically into the Premier League, and to be able to play at that level. ANB Futbol has done, in my mind, a solid work in terms of building the foundation of technique and football foundation for Daniel. But we cannot really say what we have developed that player. Anybody that say in Canada that we have developed a player, they're really not being honest, because development is an equation, and it goes from 7 to 17, 18, and have a specific. So you have, the pre-formative year, then you have formative year, then you have post-formative years, and then you have pre-professionalism, that intro to professionalism. So those are steps that I'm not sure how much we're well immersed into the educational. We're not immersed well enough in Canada to do them. I happen to be maybe a little bit blessed and lucky that I traveled the planet per se, and I've acquired a lot of information. But then the application of that as well is extremely difficult if you don't have the environment, the facilities, the funds. So it's not just having knowledge is good enough. It's the functional application of that knowledge with the athlete and doing it on a day in and day out and a year in and year out until they get to that level. So it's a process, right? FIFA has an equation, and the main part of that equation are the players being between the ages of 12 to 15 first, then 15 to 23, and every stage has a benefit to where that player were playing per se, of training or whatever you want to call it, the home of that player during those years. And then there is certainly potentially financial benefit out of it. Then what else can you do in terms of a player that was a solid part of a club or an academy or a soccer organization, and then you can directly communicate with the club where they're at, and as well potentially have some kind of a beneficial equation out of that. So there's all kind of I think people need to I guess educate themselves on what's that exactly without me going into the details of the player. I would have to respect that.
Understood. I'm going to ask a 2-in-1. Did you ever, how does it feel to have a player that you've helped develop in the Premier League? Did you ever think that you would have a player in the EPL? Because, the English Premier League is the top league in the world in regards to football. And what has the positive impact been from that transfer?
I certainly, if I say, that we had an objective that we're going to take a player and that he or she will end up, specifically he right now in the case of Daniel, in the EPL. And not only that, he's playing for England U20 program. I guess, I don't know if you saw him at the World Cup in the U20, he was representing England national team. I certainly will be lying if I said that we had that objective. We certainly have the confidence that we're capable of helping and guiding an athlete to go to a higher level. That's for sure. We have that confidence that we have an equation in place that if an athlete, whether if they're a male or female, because we do have as well multiple females are playing at the highest level, whether if it's in France in the professional league, which is the D1 in France for the women, or playing for a national team. We have, on the female side, we have players playing for Portugal, Greece, Poland. They're all Canadian kids born with multiple nationalities, obviously, or Canadian from a different heritage. So they are playing there. But in specifically in terms of Daniel, no, or any other player on the male side, we certainly have the confidence to say, okay, we're capable of taking them through a developmental or a guidance in terms of the game to hopefully maybe end up. What we've done differently actually end up obviously on the professional level. What we've done differently is we recognize that if we keep them in Canada up to 19, 20, 21, it becomes a lot more difficult for the players to seek a professional avenue. Okay? So we recognize that even though we truly believe in our work, that we need to find avenues and open doors for those players between the ages of 14, 15, 16, 17, and try to place them outside of the Canadian environment. We don't have a proper professional, like I said before, a proper national system to start with for the youth, nor a proper professional system for these players to go through and then end up playing at the highest level of the game. So by recognizing that we needed to find options for the players earlier, it worked well for us with multiple players. As we speak, we have at least 18 players in that equation. So on the male and the female side. So we're beyond ecstatic for Daniel to start with, beyond happy for him. We wishing the best. I think it's only the first step. There's going to be more step for him forward. I can't talk about them. I'm privy to a lot of things that goes on, obviously, in his life. And we're hoping that he can even play a much bigger and better stage.
Yeah,
football stage.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see that happen, and it's so cool to see. Messi, Inter Miami, David Beckham, U.S. How do you're a Messi person. You're a Messi supporter. How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts?
I think it's great. I think I'm so inspired by the American spirit of doing best for their country, for their leagues, for their sports, and they do whatever it takes to attract the biggest name on the planet, to put the biggest show, and to keep working and trying to take their football or their soccer culture forward, despite all the challenges and the difficulties that they have. So it's impressive. I love it. I watch it and I say Messi will most probably change. I think Beckham is certainly a very smart idea, very, very smart idea what he's done, obviously. And I think Messi being in the MLS, it has put the MLS on a different level altogether. And will continue to most probably push the American side or the Major League Soccer to a different heights as we move forward. So it's exciting, and I wish that we as Canadian, we learn from that. I don't see it yet because I don't believe we do have the same spirit collectively like the American when it comes to sports and soccer in particular. Which is a sad thing, but you never know. You might have a couple of people here that will inherit the beautiful disease of the game, because I called football is the best disease you can have. It will never hurt you, will never kill you, will only keep you, but it will make you obsessed. And I'm not sure if I show it, but I'm an obsessed person in the game. So Messi being in North America is a pleasure. So all the best to the American and Beckham and Inter Miami for doing that. I believe there will be more names coming into the game, but he's the biggest ever. So how can that be bigger than that? So here we go.
Yeah. I seen a post today on 433 that all tickets for Inter Miami next year, 2024, are sold out. So they're saying the Messi effect. And then we're seeing, all of Messi's jerseys being sold. The fans are going crazy for Messi jerseys, and they're having a hard time to inventory that and sell all those to keep producing jerseys. They're having problems with that, and it's funny. Pardon?
No surprise at all.
Yeah, what's interesting too, Coach Bassam, is like here in Canada with the women's Canadian national team, when they won the gold medal, they weren't able to supply jerseys either. That was a problem. I'm not too sure if you heard of that, but I guess I'm getting off topic here. But I'll ask you offline.
Sure. I'm aware of that.
Yeah. And last question I'll end off with is, we got 2 years coming. One of the biggest events is going to be hosted by Canada, U.S., Mexico, the FIFA 2026 World Cup. What are your plans to catch this wave?
But just before I get into that, just want to tell you, like I mentioned, I just came back from Colombia, and we've looked at hundreds and hundreds of young people there playing soccer, and there's a couple of people who were wearing Inter Miami and the Messi jersey, believe it or not, the whole outfit, which is in Colombia, which I thought, like, are you serious? That was crazy. But it was good to see. So Inter Miami is in Colombia, put it that way. It's something, isn't it? In terms of a uniform, just because of Messi. What's the plan? The plan is really it's a continuation of in all honesty, Kareem, we have a difficult environment in Canada when it comes to the football. Um, we give an image that we are doing great. I'm not sure why we cannot just say that this is where we're at, this is what we need, this is what we go to as a nation, or what we need to go, what we need to do to move forward. We're giving an image that everything is great. We made the World Cup. Our system is developing all these players. I haven't heard of them yet, but there's all these talk about everything is fine and we're just moving forward. And the reality, we're not there. That's the reality. I think we need to be honest to ourselves and look ourselves in the mirror and say, we have huge potential. How can we take it further? And I do the same, actually. Like, that's what I'm just saying to you. I'm not just talking about countrywide. I'm talking about myself. I look in the mirror and say, okay, I am an academy, but am I actually a true and true academy? The reality is not. No. If you want to be honest with yourself, we're a skeleton of what you call a proper European academy. It's just a skeleton. We take ideas. We have a lot of limitations in our environment, but we take ideas from what's working from around the world, and we try to implement that in that very limited, difficult environment that we have. And it's working for us so far, but it's not good enough. I can tell you that. So what's next? We have dreams and aspirations like players, like young players. We as leaders, we have dreams and aspirations, building the top facilities, having hopefully the best investors that will believe in us and start really putting money into helping us finding that pure talent, the next Canadian name. We truly believe that they exist. Talented players in Canada on the younger ages mainly. And we believe, we're very confident in our abilities that we can take them further, and hopefully we can guide them into the professional level, and to help obviously Canada first as a country, and then the players themselves, whether they're male or female. So those are the things in terms of we want to go further and further. We want to guide Canadian players, continue opening doors and avenues for our Canadian young talent to hopefully find their way into the professional, beautiful game. That's why it's called the beautiful game, and the professional side of it is very attractive, but very difficult to attain. And it's our duty and our vocation, and our job is to guide those youngsters hopefully into the future.
Amazing. I love what you do, Coach Bassam. You've impacted my life. You've blessed me with so many opportunities from 2016 to 2019 and beyond. Yeah, I just want to add in here on the record, like you've changed my life. I don't know if I never came to ANB in 2016, I don't know where I'd be. So I know you kept me on a positive path. Soccer has kept me on a positive path, and very grateful to have you in my life, and to have you as my coach and mentor. And the last question, I know it's the last question, but this is the last one.
You're a wonderful young man, so don't worry. You've done good. You're doing good. You have good idea. Keep going. I believe that you're going to find your way. So I'm very, very happy for you, and hopefully you achieve what you're looking for.
Thank you. Is there any plans to go to the U.S., or you're stuck you're staying in Canada?
I'm not stuck anywhere, young man. I've been giving opportunities. I do have opportunities in the U.S. I do have opportunities overseas, and I keep focusing on, honestly, the Canadian side, because I truly, truly believe that Canada is still a land of opportunities, and in general, and it's a great country overall. And I strongly believe that our ethnicity and our cultural mix is a beautiful thing. It's like a beautiful salad with all these fresh vegetables and different colors and different nationalities, ethnicities, and religious belief. And I think we all live in this beautiful mosaic of a country. And from within that, there are talented young people that can do great things. And still in my heart. I believe that I would love to play a role in that, and maybe that's the one of the biggest reason why I have not seeked properly to go somewhere else. Plus, I have my kids who are extremely important in my life, and they're the focus of them achieving their objective in Canada first. So the combination of things, but the opportunities are out there, and it's extremely challenging, but at the same time, it's extremely satisfying. Without challenge, without taking risk, you're never going to find any reward. So we continue to do that.
Amazing. Well, Coach Bassam, I appreciate you taking this time for being on the One Soccer Nation podcast.
Thank you for hosting me, Kareem, and all the best to you and the program and the future plans.
Thank you.